Yeah. Good evening and welcome to the show. Here for some serious news.
You are yelling into the void.
Hey, oops, if I had my mic on. Hey, can you hear me now? Looks better. All right, so let's go start off with our trending news. Taylor Swift files restraining order. Nobody cares. Aaron Rodgers gets a wife nobody knows. Nobody cares. Teen girl conehead was found in Iran. That's more interesting than both the other two stories. Yeah, they're about 6,200 years old. Or she is. Conehead. Okay, and I read something that people are using AI as a therapist. I agree. If you're using AI for therapy, you need a therapist. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about LA. What a failure. What a failure. That movement is out of control. And I don't like, it's not really, they are out of control. But all right, Chris, get it right here. Let's get it right. I know, fuck. I'm a little hysterical right now. So calm down. I'm going to put on my gloves. I like these gloves. But yeah, the whole thing about progressives, because they're collectivists, right? They believe in the group over the individual. Yeah. And so I read this somewhere or somebody told me, but I thought it was great, is that they put the relationship before the task, meaning that they have a we consciousness, it isn't an I, it's we, and it's all a shared fate, shared fate. If you do good, I do good, that kind of crap. All for social cohesion, harmony, and they're all into that's why they always say the nuances. You're not following the nuances, read between the lines, stupid shit. It's conformity, and then you have to conform to be in that collective, because now, your social being is based on the collective mind, or, group. Horrible. Yeah. Marx said that. I'll get it another day. I can't do it verbatim right now. But those things, that attitude of putting a relationship before the task, all it does is, it brings resentment and frustration. There's a disconnect now because, you got this we mentality and not an I. So it becomes a group think, mob mentality, and then, that's where the misunderstandings come, because now you got this group who are trying to say something, but they don't know what the hell they're trying to say. The cops are trying to go, hey, get back, and they're not understanding why, everybody's mad, and the expectations aren't met on either side, and then they the trust levels plummet on each side. It has nothing to do with migration or any issue, tariffs, whatever. It's just we consciousness versus I consciousness, or free market versus government intervention. That's what it's about. And right now, with that issue, they're behind. They're not going to win on that. Progressive, and you got Nancy Pelosi blaming anarchists. Not anarchists. It'd be revolutionary socialists or Marxists, not anarchists. Well, there probably isn't some anarchists out there, But they're, who heard of an organized anarchy club is not an anarchy club. I mean, that's a misnomer. That kind of doesn't make any sense. But and now it's going to other states, other big cities. But there are hundreds of people out protesting. Like, big deal. It's going to fail because most people agree with the policy that undocumented immigrants need to leave. I mean, 65% of the population believes that. And if you go out, okay, let's look, because they undocumented, but they, Biden allowed them to get work permits, right? So I'm not, and with those work permits, it comes out to like they're paying the federal income tax at like 5%. How many people out there are paying 5% on a federal income tax? I don't know anybody, It's cheaper than a lot of rich people, I did have some notes on something like that. And they send like $81 billion back to their home countries. Yeah. So they pay 5% in income taxes, and they send, because they say they're generating $100 billion in taxes, and they're sending $81 billion out of the country, and they're paying a 5% federal income tax. Fair and equal. That makes no sense. I don't know why people are trying to, promote this. Why would you stand up for that? No? Why would you? So then we got Trump over here, talking about the Insurrection Act, a rebellion, and that would all come down because everything he's done so far is legal because they're not out in the streets arresting or blocking people doing any kind of crowd control other than on federal property, which is federal property. He has jurisdiction over federal property. So, yeah, he's not doing anything weird. But to put him out into the streets to fight for stuff, you could go back to, the Insurrection Act of 1807, which would give the president, that was Jefferson, that gives the president, during unruly, mob attacks, what's going on, the president, the ability to use federal troops to stop that. Done it a couple of times. And here's just a recent one, labor disputes. Everybody's all into unions. So, they used the federal government to stop those labor disputes. Both Cleveland and Wilson did. So, Trump's not doing anything unprecedented. It's just that people are pissed off. Now, the big thing is going to be Saturday. No more kings. Well, nobody wants a king, man. Nobody wants a king, but nobody wants a collective either. So, and both Republicans and Democrats are corporatists, so it's not like, I put on here, it's that sliding scale, business versus politics, corporatism, where is it? That's what we're in, is corporatism, is in a mix of corporate and government powers. Is what corporatism is. So it's like, okay, who's ever in charge? They kind of, we don't like these guys, let's get these guys. But it's the same shit. It's the same system, So it doesn't change. It's just the faces change. The system isn't being taken apart or done anything to. But this thing on Saturday, because they're gonna have the Army birthday. I read that like the groups aren't going to DC. I mean, that would be a really stupid idea. The Army is having a parade. Are you really want to go and protest the Army having a parade? Yeah, that doesn't sound like a winning idea. So so watch it if you live in a big city or have a big city near you. There is going to be protests, riots. We'll see what they do, because here's Here's the deal. That's why Newsom's pulling all this crap, and there's going to be big riots this weekend. It's because 84% of the Democrats want somebody to fight Trump. They want to fight back, right or wrong. They just want them to, fight Trump. Doesn't matter if he's right or wrong, or they're right or wrong. They just fight Trump. 84% of Democrats. So that's the mentality we're dealing with, and we'll just persevere, man. I mean, stupid people go. They come and go. And this is a stupid one. Yeah, this is really stupid because the issue is a non-winner. So have any other things going on? Yeah, the China deal sounds like it's coming through. That's going to change everything. It's not like our economy got hit with having these tariffs or anything. Stock market's gone up. Everything, prices, where I live, prices haven't come down, or not much anyway. So hopefully it'll be a big relief. I don't know. I live in a tourist town, and it's high season, so I don't see prices starting to really go down until the fall or winter. But yeah, we'll see how that works out, man. China's always, they say they'll do something and then they don't do it and back out. But we'll see. We'll see. But even just the idea that there's a deal being made, that's a positive. What kind of deal? We'll see. Inflation and unemployment ticked up a tiny bit. I don't know. I don't know if that means anything. I don't think it means anything. We're at 2% anyway, 2.3, 2.4% inflation. I thought everything was supposed to be cool. We're at 2%. 2.3, what the hell? 2.5, what the hell? I don't know. Oh yeah, and Trump's still, trying to get rid of FEMA. Well, I think it should get rid of it. It shouldn't be federalized. I think there should be a state. Each state should have their emergency, whatever M stands for, whatever A stands for. And then the state just gets a block money, like here in Oregon. That's how we do our health care and education, is we just get block grants, and then the state decides what we're going to do with it. And I think that's the way it should be done. I don't think the government, the federal government, should be on top telling us how to spend our money and what programs are good and what programs are bad. I think Oregonians should figure that out. And I think everybody in the country, each state, should figure that out for themselves. Because, we got a lot of problems in Oregon. I disagree with a lot of shit that's been going on, for the last 50 years, Last good governor we had was Tom McCall. Come and visit, but don't stay. Great guy. And what else we got? Oh yeah, I get into the quantum computing. The stock's going up on this one. Yeah, if I played the market, which I don't because they're all publicly owned corporations, it's corporatism, not capitalism. Yeah, I'm not into buying shares of companies. That's not my gig. But if you are, I'd start looking at quantum computing and nuclear, thorium, nuclear. I'd be putting my money in those two areas right now. And what do we got? Oh, and another dude got. It started. How many people do you think are going to get gored by buffalo in Yellowstone? I think that's their first one of the year. Talk about idiots, man. Here, you play on the ocean, you could lose your life, man. You get these, it happens more in the beginning of the year. And what are they called? King tides. And they'll go way up. They'll destroy a beach, man. And people want to go down and look at them because they're huge. But they throw around trees and stuff like they're toothpicks. I mean, you don't go on the beach when there's king tides coming in. That's just stupid. But it happens every year. All along the coast, somebody, a few people got to be adventurous and head on out. And they think, oh, if we stand on this log, we'll be safe, you know, or we go out there, you know, we won't get swept out. And, when I was a kid, you know, a guy I went to school with, he got crushed by a log. They thought, oh, here comes, you know, big wave came and picked up the log and he spun over and it went out and he was underneath it. Yeah, that shit happens every day. I mean, every year here. So yeah, always keep your, never put your back to the ocean. That's what I meant. Yay, Christmas. Yeah, never put your back to the ocean. But that's a whole other gig too. All right, well, I think I blabbed on enough. Hopefully I'm not just.
You are yelling into the void.
I'm going to make you eat those words, talking button. I'm going to make you eat those words. All right, everybody. I think, I don't know, I'm going to try this. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if I do this. Cool. All right, folks. We'll see you later.